Roads? It's the Ernest Hancock Show. Where we're going, there aren't any roads.
I want to break free. I want to break free. I want to break free from your lies. You're so self-satisfied. I don't need you. I've got to break free. God knows.
Yeah, we're trying to tell everybody else, too. Here on Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, we have Angela Keaton from antiwar.com. Now, Angela's been a libertarian activist for a long time and knows where all the people got their skeletons buried. And she's been involved in this. I tell you, Angela, help us out with that. I mean, what has been your primary focus all these years? I know it's freedom, but how did the anti-war start to bubble up inside you to become so involved in that one issue?
9/11, and Harry Brown the very next day was getting me all riled up. I've been, when I was station manager at 91.7 in Austin, of course, I was working on with other projects with a guy named Scott Horton, who had become more and more focused on the war too. And libertarians have always, libertarians were way ahead of this on everything, like anything else. Longtime libertarian activist Eric Garris, along with Colin Hunter and Justin Raimondo, they got the URL antiwar.com in 1995. Of course, this is during the Clinton regime's wars. So this has been, libertarians have actually been on the forefront of this issue for a long time. But for me, really after 9/11 is when I started rearranging the order of my priorities to put the war first. And, of course, in terms of both civil liberties and money, this is absolutely the worst thing. The war is an anarchist nightmare. I mean, it's big government and big theft, big murder all at the same time.
Big murder. Big, collectivized, mechanized, organized, ritualized murder to a drum. Everybody's going, well, we are at war. I'm not. I really like that campaign slogan, I am not at war. And, and pick your war. War on illiteracy, war on poverty, war on drugs, war. And it's always war is the health of the state kind of thing. So I'm just like, can we not? So tell me how long ago was ComeHomeAmerica.us, the book, published?
Actually published late toward the end of last year, and we've been kind of distributing it in sort of this sample paperback form. But it's actually going to be reissued by, I believe, Chelsea Green Books, a publisher that handles these sorts of things that are strictly peace-oriented. We'll be reissuing this in September, so you'll probably see it with a new cover and in a bigger, healthier form soon. But anyone who's interested in talking to me about the book or is interested in a copy can email me at angela@antiwar.com, and I would love to talk to whomever about chapters in their area. But one thing also, too, I want to remind people is if you go to ComeHomeAmerica.us, you, too, can add your signature, or you can just email me at angela@antiwar.com, and I'll make sure you're added to the list.
Well, tell me about John Walsh. I mean, his role, it was interesting hearing him speak and talking to him, and he wasn't ready to give up his progressive credentials, but I think he understood what you were trying to do and accomplish, and he's willing to play. And I'm just give me a background on him. What kind of person is he? Where did he come from?
Well, Dr. Walsh is an actual medical doctor, MD. We're talking about serious human beings who have long-time credentials in the anti-war movement. But where I first heard of Dr. Walsh was at counterpunch.org. Alexander Coburn and Jeffrey Sinclair's excellent site, which it's a hard left site, but there are many, many things that libertarians and anarchists can learn and appreciate about Counterpunch. And Dr. Walsh, I saw his articles there, and of course his articles have also been, he also has original articles published on antiwar.com, and he's a longtime anti-war activist, and these are people who have, the people who are involved in Come Home America, I mean, these are not, these are not the people whose commitment to war wavers depending on whose administration or whatever regime is in power. These are people who are committed against war. These are people who are against violence, and this is a cornerstone of whether they see the social justice issue or an example of the evils of big government. It's pretty much consistent with all the people that are involved. Are that republic, not an empire, a much more humble foreign policy, a constitutional foreign policy, even for people who haven't quite, don't understand the anarchism where you and I might be coming from, is that if you care about the Constitution and you do still hold, a commitment to it, then clearly you'd have to realize that our Constitution does not allow for any of these actions.
Well, and what do they feel is the role of government then? I mean, I'm glad that we're able to focus on one thing. We can focus on war is bad for everybody. I mean, it's kind of the Barry Goldwater days, war is bad for every living thing. And I want to make sure that when I talk to John, Dr. Walsh, is I go, what are you hoping to get out of this coalition? Well, I mean, you would think that he would say, end to all wars, and I go, great, and then what? And hopefully, we'll worry about that later. But I'm really looking at when you're dealing with the people on the right, they're keep talking about, the threat that we have from Al-Qaeda, and they want to kill us, and Islam this and so on, and the Muslims going on. And I'm going, I don't have a single one of them with a gun to my forehead taking my money that's funding all this wars. I mean, everything that has anything to do with the health of the state from these wars, it comes from my own government, are the ones that are taking away my civil liberties. They're groping me at the check-in line or TSA checkpoint going on vacation. It's just everything that you would say that the very government you're talking about and you're supporting to protect us are the very ones that are doing the very things that they're saying we need to be guarding against. So from the left, are they willing to dismantle this grid, this security thing, this expansion of government, because the benefit of doing away with the war mentality that we have is to get us out of all of this Orwellian 1984 like it was an instruction manual or something. And do you get that feeling from them, or do they just want to use the power of government for something else?
Well, in fairness to people on the left, and even a few, moderate kind of progressives like Glenn Greenwald, I mean, there's always been a distrust of a certain, big government in the area of civil liberties. I mean, these are people who are not happy with the Patriot Act. And I mean, people not happy with the Patriot Act, I mean, it's everyone from Ralph Nader to Cynthia McKinney. I mean, it's a pretty broad section on the left that rejects things like the bailouts, that rejects, that's suspicious of the Federal Reserve, that absolutely wants to, obliterate the Patriot Act. So there's enough common agreement there. Heck, there's enough common agreement there with Chuck Baldwin even to get real significant change. I mean, if those were the only changes we were managed to make in the next few years, imagine how much freer and richer our lives would be.
Well, this is what I'm asking. Who are we up against? I mean, this becomes such a popular message with the youth. It's starting to gain ground with everybody else. It's sure as heck is, financially it's becoming an issue. I mean, they're talking about the debt ceiling and extending, but they never talk about, cutting the empire. Heck no. We can cut entitlements, this, that, but never does they even broach the subject about bringing the empire down, certain other foreign bases and so on. So I'm wondering, I still haven't got quite a clear picture on what we have to conquer. Is it just individual minds that we just got to change the culture? Or is there some opposition or coalition behind a particular candidate or a campaign? Or is this work just what?
It's all those things. I mean, yes, you're going to have to change the culture. We're going to have to get away from the language of militarism. And yes, we're going to have to rethink our politics. I mean, libertarians, back when I was, back in the olden days, pre-Ron Paul 2007, we always had to work, and libertarians always were such small numbers, we had to work in coalitions to affect any change. And we've always we've always had the wrong goals. I mean, we talk about the LP as if the goal is to just get people elected to dog catcher. The goal has always been a freer society, and that's the thing that we're trying to do, practical changes to stop the government's reach. But it's all those, it's like in terms of who our rollback is, it's people, people who are part of the Obama cult. It's, conservatives. It's nationalists.
Well, I'm glad you're out there, and it surprised me when you made that comment. Libertarians we got to check our libertarianism at the door. We got to focus on the anti-war part. By osmosis, just just being associated with us, by us just being there, it's going to happen. And I've seen it happen. You know, Mike Duggar did a great job of it here in Arizona, and it made it very effective. And so I've already seen it work. And you're absolutely right. We need to focus on, you know, like people dying, being killed en masse. I mean, by the thousands. Boom. Stop it. Stop that. You know, maybe there'll be some of us left to fix the other stuff. Next, John Walsh, Dr. Walsh, is going to be on taking it to the next step. Angela Keaton from antiwar.com. Thanks for coming on, Angela. It's always great talking to you.
Thank you.
Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. Readers of freedomsphoenix.com are constantly provided the information that detail the real news between the lines of propaganda about government policies and the true relationship we all have with coercive governments. Learn the true condition of our economy, innovations and technological breakthroughs in energy, health, computer science, and space travel. Learn the truth well before it's admitted to in the lamestream media, the media that is so last century. Corporate media has evolved into nothing more than distributors of government propaganda, but we now have a fantastic alternative. FreedomsPhoenix.com provides constant news updates on the issues that affect our lives in the most important ways. Our liberty and our property are under constant attack, and FreedomsPhoenix.com provides the understanding behind the propaganda while encouraging the participation of our readers. Join us at FreedomsPhoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, Phoenix.com. FreedomsPhoenix.com, where the revolution between the ears has already matured.